Welcome to Chronic Combat Conversations, a live look at our best bets, picks, and props for UFC 258 with your hosts, TB Scouting MMA and
the MMA guru. And we've got a special guest here today. You may have seen him. You may already follow him. He's had his posts, his bets propped up on UFC pay-per-views multiple different times. He's a winner. We've got the UFC Shark in the building. Shark, how's it going, man?
Great. How you guys doing? Thanks for having me.
Oh man, it's so great to have you on.
Never better, really. You are our first guest. You are the inaugural guest to Chronic Combat Conversation. So it is an honor for us to have you. Truly.
For me too. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Well,
absolutely.
Hey, so let's just get right down to business. Headlining the card, Kamaru Usman versus Gilbert Burns. I know you guys are going to have some thoughts about this one. I can't wait to get into it, but as we always do, we start at the bottom where, when you're opening up fight night and you're getting ready to watch all the fights here, we don't start with Usman versus Burns. We start with Jillian Robertson versus Miranda Maverick. And, that's where we're going to start today. Robertson, right now at plus 115, Miranda Maverick at minus 143. That line's been closing, and it seems like it's going to be a great fight to me.
It's definitely a good one to start off the card. Maverick came out, had one of the most impressive debuts out of any fighter last year, and I do say that, and I mean it. I mean, she got the doctor stoppage in round one versus Liana Jojua. I know a lot of people that are really high up on her. She's got she seems to be very well-rounded. She's very young. You really can't ignore those biceps. I mean, they are massive.
She is jacked.
I've seen bodybuilders with smaller biceps than Miranda Maverick. She's fighting Jillian Robertson, who's coming off a loss. She kind of got whopped by Talia Santos in a fight that I didn't necessarily see coming. Talia Santos now kind of looks like a world beater at this stage after that solid win. But Jillian Robertson, to me, seems like somebody that is just churning out fights. And I don't know, is she just in it for a paycheck? Does she really think that she can win this fight? I'm not really sure the strategic behind any of her, what she's really doing.
It's interesting to me because a lot of people are talking about, Maverick having the advantage in the stand-up, which she certainly does. And, to me, I also see that she was on the varsity wrestling team in high school, and they don't have a women's wrestling team. So she was out there wrestling with the guys, and, you could tell from her physique, she's able to handle herself in there. And I'm not so sure that, she's going to be at a disadvantage with the size. While she gives up, an inch and a half in height, Robertson at 5'5", Maverick at 5'3.5". She has the reach advantage at 65 inches, where Robertson is only at 63. Maverick a little bit younger, 23 years old. Robertson at 25. And to me, this could be a showcase for the young prospect Maverick, where Robertson, maybe a little bit of the luster has come off of her star at this point. Looking over at the line once again, we're seeing that Robertson's coming in as the dog, as she's been a favorite, almost every single fight from my memory. Is there anything that you saw specifically in the lines here, Shark?
Yeah, well, all right. First thing I want to say is, Guru said, what's Robertson fighting for? A paycheck? And I want to say, yes. That's one thing. All fighters, they're there for a paycheck. That's their bread and butter. They're training their whole lives, dedicating everything, Yeah, she's there for a paycheck for sure. Women's MMA, I feel like the stronger woman usually wins. That's my opinion. I feel like the stronger woman usually wins all the time, and the Maverick just seems stronger. Definitely gonna take Miranda Maverick in this fight. So I think the line opened up. Miranda Maverick was less of a favorite, right? Was she a favorite? I can't remember. I have so many numbers in my head.
Yeah.
So, all right. So the way I pick my fights is I basically base it off. I have this system that I use with line movement, right? And it usually works. When I go against it, I fucking lose. Can we curse?
Yeah, go for it, man. Yeah.
So I fucking lose when I go against it. When I'm not familiar with a line and I'm like, oh, I like this fighter anyway. You know, I usually lose. There's on occasion this line system did not work for me, and it was with Spike Carlisle and Bill Algeo.
Okay.
There's a few occasions, and you know what? And I'm still learning it. I've only been doing it for like less than a year, you know. And the thing about me is, I'm a gambler. I'm a bettor, and UFC is just like something I like, and and I found the niche in this, and so anyway, let's talk about the line movement. Um,
Yeah, that's great. It's good to get an introduction to
No,
kind of what
thank
you're
you. No,
looking
people
at
want to
in
know
the
who you
fights.
are.
yeah, I mean that's what I base it on a lot. All
Love
right,
it.
so Miranda Maverick is now more of a favorite, and I've seen this line before. I actually saw it. The guy who he trained with Mayweather on the TMT.
Muradov.
Yes, it was the same line, and Muradov actually went up to more as a favorite. So I think Amanda Maverick in the next few days is going to go up to more of a favorite. So, for me, I wait till the end because I bet big money. I actually think I'm one of the biggest UFC bettors in the country consistently. The last year, I've been betting fights anywhere. I've put anywhere from $1,000 to $25,000 on fights and parlays, and I do it consistently. I haven't seen anyone bet that much money. Like right now, I have 20,000 in my DraftKings account because I won last week, and I'm gonna lay it all on this card. This is a tricky card, but
This is definitely a tricky card. I do personally, for me, I do like Maverick here. I think I like Maverick by decision plus 150. Um, Seems to kind of be screaming at me. Otherwise, Maverick minus 125 or whatever his money line is perfectly
Yeah,
fine.
and there's a possibility Maverick could get the finish on the feet, as we saw, Robertson get overwhelmed by Barber, who we'll get to later on the card. She's responded well against some veterans in Courtney Casey getting the submission, and Froda and Macedo and McCann. So she's definitely got some big names on her record, but the losses to Barber and as we spoke about, Talia Santos, did not leave a good taste in our mouths. So sounds like I'll be going with Maverick here for my pick. Guru is doing the same, and Shark's jumping along too.
Swimming along.
well, I think this fight does not go the distance. I think Maverick finishes her, but let's.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, see, I get that feeling as well.
Listen, even if you didn't even take a side, under 2.5 is plus 130. I've said this a few times. I often think they strategically pick what the first card fight of the night will be on the card, often because it'll be exciting, and often. So while I did kind of enjoy the juicy decision prop, I would be remiss to say that is a smart way to look at this fight, especially when it's gonna be a close fight, however it plays out. So under 2.5 plus 130 is I hate to be so wishy-washy, but it's really not a bad play.
Well, moving along, we have Gabe Green coming up against Phil Rowe. Green coming in at minus 137 right now, and Rowe sitting at plus 110. Green at 5'10", Phil Rowe at 6'3". So we're going to see a huge reach advantage here. 73 inches for Green and 80.5 inches for Rowe. And Rowe seems to be someone that likes to use his length only at times. It seems like sometimes guys can get inside of him. Something I saw on tape.
Pause. Whoa. Pause. You saw on tape that guys can get inside of him?
Sure.
Which tape have you been watching, fam?
Well, what about
I don't
you?
know what tape that
what
is.
are you seeing on the film? Because apparently I'm looking on the wrong website.
Yes, you were looking at the wrong website. What I saw really interesting, one thing you did point out, which will scare some people off, is that Rowe does have a huge reach advantage. You know who else had a huge reach advantage versus Gabe Green? Daniel Rodriguez, who's a tank. I mean, he is huge, and Philip Rowe is nowhere near the level of talent of Daniel Rodriguez. And Gabe Green came in on his UFC debut and fought Daniel Rodriguez on 6 days' notice and took him to task. In that third round, I mean, you see Daniel Rodriguez moving back. I mean, keep in mind, Daniel Rodriguez won a sound 30-27 decision. But on your UFC debut to come in on 6 days' notice, I mean, he made D-Rod work for that win. And to me, that's really impressive. And he's taken some time off now. That fight was in May of 2020. And I think they're giving him a good chance to showcase his skills. That being said, Rowe is somebody who did not face a winning fighter until he came to Dana White's Contender Series when he fought Leon Shabazian, who had already been beaten by Gabe Green. I mean, talk about this salt. I mean, look at these guys' records that he fought: 4-5, 1-2, 0-3, 0-1, 1-1, 0-1. Yeah. So I just really salty record. Don't know if Rowe can get it done at all. Yeah. So not laying any money on Rowe. That's for sure.
It seems like Green has more of a kicking arsenal and likes to fight a little bit more on the outside when possible. And he did show some good cardio ability to get through the adversity like we talked about, but a little bit of a lack of elite skills seemed to be very hittable. So Rowe has a little bit more of a reach advantage than Rodriguez did. And, if this goes to the ground, we're looking at 6 submissions for Green and 4 submissions for Rowe in their career. And neither of them have ever lost by submission. But placing some bets, I wasn't so quick to pick a side here. I was able to jump a little early and get, not to go to decision minus 158. It probably slid by now because I took that a couple of days ago. I did parlay with another fight that's going to be coming up on the card. So we'll get to that later, but that's the first leg of a parlay for me. Is there a side or a prop that you had that you picked out?
First, I'll just say that I did think I liked Green money line. And that's pretty much it. I'm not really sure yet.
Okay. And Shark, what about you? Did you have any thoughts on the movement on the line in this fight and anyone you wanted to pick?
Yeah, so this fight is interesting because this fight, when the line opened, I loved it. And I loved it in Philip Rowe's favor. And I said, who's Philip Rowe? I've never seen the line lose before. This morning I woke up. For me, Philip Rowe, the line, he's on a losing line. I'm definitely gonna take Gabriel Green minus 137. That's that I'm gonna put that in a parlay, and I'm gonna lay some wood on that. I'm confident in that pick in Gabriel Green minus 137. As far as any props, total rounds, it's gonna go under. I thought this fight would last, but I think Gabriel Green finishes him.
Gabe Green by finish plus 200. So
under
that might not be too
under 2.5. I'm not a huge prop person, but if I did, I'd do under 2.5 rounds. Gabe Green
minus 134.
Okay,
for that one.
So sounds like.
So although if I'm being honest, if you really do like Gabe Green minus 137, under 2.5 minus 134. That's this. You'd really have to decide which one you actually like better. Do you actually like Gabe Green better, or do you actually like the under better? Because that's the same. You're not really getting any. You're not getting any edge.
Gabe Green, definitely. You know what? We were talking about this before. Shabazian almost finished Philip Rowe the first minute of their fight.
Yes, with an uppercut.
And Gabe Green finished Shabazian the first round, I believe.
Yes.
I mean, you can't go by that, but I feel like on this level, maybe you can.
Yeah, there's a lot of inexperience, a lot of variables, and I'll be waiting for the weigh-ins. There's going to be a big size differential, so I'm a little up in the air on my pick. We'll see how that closes out. Let's get going to close out the early prelims here. We have Ricky Simone coming in at minus 250 and Brian Kelleher at plus 195. Ricky Simone matches up well in height. They're coming in even at 5'6", but Ricky Simone has a 3-inch reach advantage, equal leg reach, and Ricky Simone, the younger fighter by 6 years, 28 to Kelleher's 34. In their UFC careers, Simone 5-2, Kelleher 5-4. Plenty of experience, plenty of tape to go off of, and I come away thinking that the favorite should get the win here, but what we like to do is watch these weigh-ins and face-offs because a few weeks ago, if you remember, Ricky Simone fought at 135. This fight is going to be taking place at 145 because of a short, turnaround. So, how is Simone going to look on that scale? I know you'll be looking at it too.
Absolutely. Who wouldn't be looking at it? Ricky Simone, although he didn't necessarily look his greatest on the scale last time against Perillo, the performance didn't necessarily show it. This time around, this fight's actually up 10 pounds, up at 145 at featherweight, where Simone's not necessarily as well versed. I believe he does prefer to be the bigger fighter at bantamweight. So I think that's interesting. I think that he just fought. I mean, I know that he just fought 3 weeks ago. So while he didn't take much damage there, or really any, he did just have a fist fight 3 weeks ago. So there has to be some level of wear and tear on that. Boom Boom is dangerous. He's got that signature guillotine. He is not afraid to get punched in the face to land a couple punches himself. It should be an interesting fight, but I do expect Simone to ragdoll, drag him out, just rinse and repeat with the takedowns and just kind of wear on him with the wrestling. Right. I think by round 3, he should be pretty much the goose should be pretty much cooked. So my thought on this fight, and it's some books offer it. Make sure you look. Simone round 3 or decision -160. It's a round grouping. I'm gonna be parlaying that actually. You can play it straight up at -160, but I'm gonna parlay it with Miranda Maverick. I think. You parlay that with Miranda Maverick, her money line, +174. So,
yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, I'll be waiting to see what the weigh-ins look like, and from there,
that too, for
Simone
sure.
Decision is certainly looking interesting. I know it was minus money before, and that's kind of my worry jumping on that early because Kelleher, 8 knockouts, 9 submissions, 7 guillotines. So if Simone's coming in with the wrestling pressure, leaves his head in a bad position. He did get caught by Rob Font a couple times in that guillotine grip, but was able to work himself out of the position. I'm curious if Kelleher has a little bit better of a grip on those. He's a BJJ brown belt, whereas Simone is blue. That might give him a little bit of an edge, but as we've seen wrestlers do work well against jiu-jitsu practitioners.
I don't know if you guys have seen, but these guys have just been jawing back and forth, even almost playfully, like respectfully, but like they were jawing back and forth with each other on social media, tried to get this fight booked a bunch of times. I don't think that this fight's just going to end really quickly. Like I think that they're, especially on Brian's side, I think he's going to come out there and really try to fight and try to make it go, which is why I really do like my round 3 or decision, because I think by round 3, if the finish is there, it could be gotten because Boom Boom could be tired, or again, the Simone decision, which I think is the most likely. Shark, how do you see it?
All right, so Kelleher, I think he's a live dog here. When it first opened, Ricky Simone was -278, I think, he was -275. To Kelleher was +207, and I loved Simone. I loved that line. I loved it, and I was all over Simone. He looked great his last fight, even though the guy was, very low-level competition for Simone. But now the line moved today. I'm talking about DraftKings lines. Ricky Simone -250, Kelleher +195. There was a fight last week, and a few times I've seen that +195 win. Oh, I'll tell you when. When Impa Kasanye fought Buckley. Buckley was plus
195.
Impa was -250. And I've seen that line win last week. Last week there was a dog that won +195 too. +195 is a live dog line.
And that turns up on the tape. Completely agree with you.
Turns up on the tape, 100%. Well said. Brian Kelleher is absolutely a live dog, and that's why I'm not placing that parlay until I feel confident at weigh-ins. And I might wait till fight day. I might wait till 10 minutes before, because it's all about that energy. You just kind of have to feel it sometimes. That's a really weird thing to say. I don't think any other cappers will ever say that to you, but a lot of times it's just about that feeling.
You're right. You got to see the weigh-ins, and to me, this fight, the way I look at it is it's a pick 'em for me, just because I've seen both of those lines, the way it moved, both of them win. I don't know, it's a tough one, but I gun to my head, I'm going with Ricky Simone. I just think he's like at this high right now. His confidence level's there, and if I had to choose, I would go with him.
And that's a good point. Sometimes when you're making a pick, that's different from what you're going to bet on a line.
But I'm
Right.
not touching this fight. I'm not going to bet it.
Good point.
Right now, I'm not. But
Well,
maybe.
see, that's the thing. It's about knowing what bets to stay away from just as much as what bets to play, and something might be up here. So,
And listen, we record it on Thursday night. A lot can happen between now and Saturday at 6 p.m. So, I mean, come on here.
Definitely. Mm-hmm. So let's move right along. We're getting started on our regular prelims. Andre Ewell coming in against Chris Gutierrez. Ewell at plus 130, Gutierrez minus 167, where Ewell's going to have the 2-inch height advantage. He's going to come in with an absolutely crazy reach advantage. It looks like 9 inches, 76 to 67. And, that's going to be something that he's going to be trying to use to his advantage, sticking out the jab. And, Gutierrez a few years younger than Ewell, and he's shown to have a really good gas tank. And, Ewell has shown to have not the best gas tank. So,
yeah, no, listen, what I've seen from Ewell, positive, long reach, and he's got the hand speed. He's got some decent striking. He's got the good hand speed. I'm I don't want to be mean. I'm really not an Andre Ewell fan. No gas tank. Really bothers me maybe it's just the Martinez win, the Jonathan Martinez win. I hate sounding like a hater. I like Jonathan Martinez. I thought he won that fight. After rewatching the fight, I still think Jonathan Martinez won that fight. He won his last fight over Erwin Rivera, and I mean, he won that fight by split decision again. And like, he has no gas tank, and like when he doesn't get a finish, which is seeming to be never in the UFC, he just doesn't show any sense of urgency. Yeah, he has no finishes in the UFC.
Yeah, and he's been finished a few times.
He's 4-2 in the UFC. He has 3 split decision wins and 1 unanimous decision win. And he has 2 losses, one by KO to Marlon Vera and one by rear naked choke to Nathaniel Wood. I mean, anytime he's fought somebody decent, he loses. And otherwise he wins by split decision. Like, what the fuck?
I saw some issues as far as, him being taken down and dealing with the grappling threats. Marlon Vera sunk in this crazy, just wrapped right around him and scooped up the neck and then dragged him to the ground. It was one of the craziest takedowns I've seen, and straight into a submission attempt. So I think someone with a little bit of quickness like Gutierrez, and we've seen his leg kicks are absolutely devastating. So that one on Morales on the Woodley versus Burns card, we saw that one during quarantine, and that was the first time we were really introduced to not having, crowd noise during an event, and just hearing the whipping of that leg landing. Oh man, he's so violent, and Ewell has such a wide stance. I'm not seeing good things as this fight goes deeper. I'll probably just playing the money line and maybe parlaying Gutierrez.
Well, listen, I was going to say, as we record here on Thursday night, there are no lines really available other than the money line, and I see total rounds on our local books here for FanDuel and DraftKings. So maybe that's how you feel. Maybe you like the under 2.5 plus 164. But I got to be honest, Gutierrez is not much of a finisher either, and we've seen Andre Ewell's ability to last. So even though he has been finished, he was finished by Chito Vera and Nathaniel Wood, who are legitimate, like, top 20, top 15 guys. So I don't think Chris Gutierrez is that guy. I don't think Chris Gutierrez is a finisher. I like Gutierrez money line, I guess, minus 148. I'll certainly be, picking him, circling him, no money related. Yeah, I mean, they have the juice over at minus 215. I mean, that should tell you what they think here. And I got to be honest, once they do release the props, and if you do think it's going to go to decision, why not throw a little, like, sprinkle on Ewell by decision? Because apparently, if he's there, he can win by split decision. you see anything on this, Shark? My guess is if I know you, you're probably not putting this one anywhere.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna bet this, but I agree with you. This fight I think does go to a decision. Andre Ewell, I agree with you here too. I'm not a fan of him because that Jonathan Martinez fight, I thought he lost that fight. You know, I mean,
he did lose that fight,
but he really lost that fight, and I like
Andre Ewell. I'll grab you a beer if you ever were to hear this, but you lost that fight, homie.
yeah,
I'm
well,
sorry.
he knows that too, I'm sure. But Andre Ewell will fight. He'll fight you to the end. He will fight for your money. He will fight till the end. He'll give it all he's got. I didn't see that fight with Marlon Vera, but I do want to see it. And Andre Ewell has faced better competition, I think, than Chris Gutierrez.
To your point, dude, both of those finishes, both of them, Vera and Wood, came in the third round.
And they were both
of them,
right?
Oh no, one was a ground and pound finish by Vera, and then the choke was by Wood. But I mean, dude, both round 3, he really will fight for your money.
Ewell did look good in his last fight, even though it was Erwin Rivera. He did look good, but
yeah, for the first 2 rounds,
he was so much bigger than him. You know what? If I had to pick, I would go with Gutierrez. I'd go to the I'd bet this fight goes to a decision. It goes the distance.
I honestly, it might go to split decision. Seriously, if your book offers that, throw like, I don't know, 50 cents, throw $1, throw a couple, throw your lunch money on a split decision if they somehow offer that prop, because that would be crazy. But I think we should move along to fights with props on them at the moment.
So Polyana Viana, next fight coming in against Mallory Martin. Viana at 120 plus 125 and Martin at minus 155. And Viana is going to be giving up 1 inch in the height. She's at 5'3", where Martin's at 5'4". However, she'll come in with a 4-inch reach advantage, something she's used to in most of her fights. 67-inch reach versus Mallory Martin, 63. Martin a couple of years younger, 26 years old, compared to Polyana Viana's 28. And we're looking at a couple women that have a lot of submissions on their record. Viana, 2 submission wins, 1 submission loss, however, 3 decision losses as well. And Martin, 1 submission win, 1 submission loss in her UFC career. One thing I noticed, and we did talk about Mallory Martin Elevation Fight Team, but I also saw on her track record that she had worked with Zingano BJJ and Tiger Muay Thai. Whereas Polyana Viana is coming at a top fight team. This might just be a levels type of fight where, I think Martin faced a lot better fighter in Jandiroba than anything that Viana's seen. And Martin has a little bit more of a wrestling in her background, and Viana, will give up some bad positions. So both women like to see, the fight end inside the distance, but this one might go all the way.
Yeah, I certainly think it will. I'll just tell you straight up. I have Mallory Martin by decision plus 115 here. Viana is, to me, again, respectfully, pretty much the lowest level there is currently in the UFC. She has her 1 win recently over Emily Whitman with a round 1 armbar where she got taken down and somehow came away with the submission. That probably generally shouldn't happen. She's lost to Hannah Cyphers, Macedo, JJ Aldrich. Not again. There's just nothing impressive here. I would feel if you cash your Poly ticket at plus 140 this weekend, literally, like, power to you. But there is no way I'm risking money on Poly here. It's just she's just not very good. That being said, you look at Mallory Martin, like you said, with levels. I mean, she lost to Macy Barber in 2017 when they were like one of their first fights, and then she lost to Jandiroba by sub, who's world-class jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, well, she did a great job, fighting off the submissions in the first round to make it all the way to the second.
Right. So where I am actually concerned with Mallory is how she did get lit up by Hannah Cyphers in that first round of that August card in 2020. She got lit up in that first round. I was really nervous because I had bet Molly by finish, and she just got beat up the whole round, and then she came out in the second round and got the rear naked choke early. That being said, is Polly going to be the one to punish her on the feet? I honestly think that Hannah Cyphers is a better striker than Polly, and I not only think that, but I know it. I mean, she lost to Hannah Cyphers beat Polly at a previous time, so I just don't see it. What do you guys see? What about you,
All
Shark?
right, so yesterday and the day before, I was gonna lock in Pollyanna because of the line. I love the line for Pollyanna Viana, and I was like, I don't know how she's gonna win, but right now I have her winning. And now today the line moved. Mallory Martin is minus 155. Pollyanna Viana is plus 125. So in the last, I don't know, year, I've never seen that plus 125 win against a minus 155. Never. And I have this shit memorized so good in my head. The only time I've seen that line not win is when Donald Cerrone drew against Nico Price that on that line. That was the only time I saw that line not win for the minus 155. For me, Mallory Martin it's I hate using this word, but it's a lock, bro.
Mallory Martin a lot.
I don't see her losing. I'm gonna put that in another parlay. I'm not gonna put it in my strongest parlay, but I'm definitely gonna use Mallory Martin in a parlay. Like over under, I don't even know. I don't even care to look at it because there's only so much I can, so much shit I could
Handle.
Definitely.
I was listening to a YouTube thing earlier. This is what I heard them saying. Oh, a lot of these fights are going to go the distance. I feel the complete opposite. I feel like on this card, a lot of fights are not going to go the distance. And I think this one, Pollyanna Viana and Mallory Martin,
Is one of them.
I don't think it's going the distance. And I think
That's wild.
Mallory Martin a lot here.
Okay.
Mallory Martin by sub plus 850. Mallory Martin by KO plus 950. So talk about cashing if you can figure that out, right? I mean, if you can have a double chance, KO or submission plus 470 for Mallory Martin. So I mean, if you really like that, I mean that's some cheddar right there.
Should we move on to Bilal Muhammad, or is anyone?
Please and thank you.
Yeah. So
Let's do it.
we got our next fight here. Bilal Muhammad fighting Diego Lima. Muhammad giving up, a decent amount of height and reach here. It looks like 3 inches in both, and he is 1 year more experienced. But I think the biggest thing that we talked about in the last fight was levels, and we're going to come back and revisit this fight because when you look at the level of competition that Muhammad has faced in his career, it's just much higher than anything that Lima has faced. And some of the guys that Lima has faced that maybe touch that surface level, he's lost to, and by finish in the first round. Lee, Zhang Liang, round 1 knockout. Tim Means, round 1 knockout. I know that was a little bit ago, but this is someone that hasn't fought since October of 2019. So coming off a long layoff and coming in against a guy that is just so experienced in wrestling, his stand-up is really improving, and Bilal Muhammad just looks like he needs to be in your parlay this week for me.
Yeah, I agree. At first, I was a little uncertain, and I didn't want to touch the fight for some reason, and it was because of the line. And then the line moved, and then I'm like, no, Bilal Muhammad is a lock. I've never seen this line lose before. Well, let me double check before I say that, but I agree with you. There is levels, and I didn't even realize this. Bilal Muhammad hasn't lost a fight since 2006.
19 versus Jeff Neal.
Oh, he lost against Jeff?
Yes, and he actually went and trained with him.
Loss.
Oh, they trained?
Yeah.
After that loss, right?
Yes. He went and trained with him and came back and beat, I think it looks like it was Takashi Sato and Lyman Good.
I love when fighters do that. Like you can't beat him, join him. You kicked my ass, and now we're homies. I'm gonna come train with you. I don't know why I love that. But I mean, yeah, Bilal Muhammad's only other 2 losses other than Jeff Neal are Vicente Luque and Alan Jouban. Yeah, Bilal Muhammad's my pick all day long. Bilal Muhammad by decision minus 150. Bilal Muhammad round 3 or decision minus 175. I think they're great parlay pieces. Maybe a little too chalky to lay them straight up, but it should happen. That's who I like.
I agree with you. I like Muhammad as well. I follow him on Instagram. You know,
He's so funny.
he's in the gym all the time. I feel like he's always improving and learning, and yeah, I think he's on another level. And to be honest, I don't know. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I don't know much about Diego Lima. I haven't really researched him because I was originally gonna stay away from that fight because I didn't like that line. But now I'm gonna look into it a little more, and I'm gonna go with Muhammad.
Yeah, I mean he's read his brother's coattails. I mean Douglas Lima is the better fighter. Um, his last two wins are split decision versus Court McGee and Luke Jamo. I don't hate to say that. I don't even know who Luke Jamo is.
Poor Luke Jamal.
Jumueo? I don't even know how to pronounce his name.
It's a great question.
And then he beat Chad LaPrize. Who's Chad LaPrize?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the Ortega Holloway card. That was 3 wins ago. I don't. Who? Yeah, no.
Sounds
Not
like
happening.
we're all on Muhammad and pretty heavy. Moving along to another that we might agree on here, Rodolfo Vieira, minus 400, another big favorite, versus Anthony Hernandez at plus 300. And there is a gigantic gap in their abilities on the ground. Rodolfo Vieira, the black belt hunter, he can submit anybody. And, you know, he really proved it when you look at his background: ADCC submission wrestling championships, grappling world championships, Pan Am, European championships. This guy has been around all over the place, light heavyweight and heavyweight, now fighting at middleweight in the UFC. But can't help but get the feeling that you might be, you know, seeing things a little differently here than how the line might be playing out at minus 400.
Listen, I don't. Let me tell you straight up. I don't know what I'm seeing. Minus 400, he's supposed to murder him, and I don't know that he does. You know, round one, like he needs a round one submission. Vieira needs a round one submission, and I don't know that he gets it. Fluffy has good striking, not very good, but certainly better than Vieira, enough to keep him as a more well-rounded fighter than Vieira. Vieira's striking is basically non-existent. If it gets out of the first round, I don't know. Hernandez could get it done. I've seen Hernandez get hurt to the body multiple times. It seems to be a theme throughout his fights. One thing that I did think that was interesting, Kevin Holland, that was his first win that started his big streak in May 2020. Fluffy was a slight favorite in that fight, and he hasn't fought since. So you go from a slight favorite over Kevin Holland to a plus 320 underdog to a guy that literally cannot strike. And got his eye completely swollen shut against Saparov, who's no longer with the promotion. I don't know. For me, it's pretty much a pass in all capacities. Listen, you want to play Fluffy by finish at plus 350, go for it. Maybe you like Vieira to like somehow weather round one and then like just go balls to the wall round two, get a round two submission or round two finish, whatever, plus 430. So Vieira round two plus 430. I don't even Vieira round one is like minus 115 or something. It's like it's stupid. There is no smart way to play this fight. So why do it? Just watch. What do you guys say?
All right, this fight. Oh, this is what I see in this fight from the lines. It doesn't go the distance, and Rodolfo Vieira wins. If you look at Anthony Hernandez, his record, Jordan Wright, he beat him in the first round. Jordan Wright's pretty tough. That was in 2018. He beat him in the first round, but it's a no contest. I don't know why. Does anyone know why?
Smoking weed.
Oh, okay.
Stay off the weed.
Then he
Stay off the weed.
Marcus Perez.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
the
that's a
body
bad loss.
shot into the submission attempt.
Yep, body shot into the submission attempt, and he got hurt to the body by
Kevin
the
Holland.
next fight too.
Kevin Holland.
Thank you, Kevin Holland. Literally finished him by a body shot. So, thank you.
Yeah, the things that really were scary to me about Hernandez was that his stand up really doesn't seem to be at the level that it might threaten Vieira, because what he relies on are flurries and rushing forward, and he puts himself in grappling positions, and that might have worked against Park and Brandon Allen, but you can't let yourself get engulfed by Vieira and expect to come out victorious. He needs to maintain distance and strike well, but the smaller cage. I really do think Vieira wins. He's going to be, my pick. I might avoid him in the parlay just because I think it's slightly steep for how relatively inexperienced he is at MMA overall. He's only 7-0, so you, you might figure the 31-year-old that transitioned over from, the BJJ scene, he might catch his first defeat. I just don't think that Anthony Hernandez is specifically the guy to do it. Only a 2-inch reach advantage, whereas Safarov did have 6 inches. So he threw up that snapping front kick and was able to catch him in the eye. But it was a little fluky. So once again, pick Vieira. But
how's Rodolfo Vieira's cardio? That's a question because I see a lot of these
Suspect.
a lot of these jujitsu. Wait, what'd you say?
Suspect.
Is it? Because a lot of these guys,
I think so. Why not? He hasn't gone the decision.
a lot of
He hasn't. Why?
jujitsu guys have that are coming into the UFC or any MMA when they're coming out of jiu-jitsu into MMA. I feel like they sometimes have cardio issues. I'll give you an example. Bellator, a few months ago, there was one of the Gracies. Do you remember that fight? He fought.
Yes. Oh my God. What was that?
Robson.
Yeah. Oh my God. Minus 500 favorite. He was a loser in a minute or whatever. Terrible.
He ran out of gas. He was huffing and puffing. He just, So
just to your point. Sorry, to your point. He's built like a brick shit house. He doesn't have the cardio. He's been past the second round one time against Oscar Pichota. To the second round one time with Pichota. Otherwise, he's pretty much a first round fighter. Shooto Brazil 74, 2017. He got the finish in the third round. His wins, he's 7-0. 100% of his wins are by finish. So it has to be a finish.
You know something though? Yeah, like you said, you're right. It has to be a finish. Hernandez, his fights never go to past the second round either. One time against Brendan Allen, and he went to a decision in 2018.
Vieira round 2 plus 430, Fluffy by finish plus 350. I think either are fine. I'll be circling Vieira. You guys ready to move on? I think we touched it.
Yeah, it is now kicking off the main card. We have Maki Pitolo plus 145 against Julian Marquez at minus 177.
The Cuban Missile Crisis. You listen, when you introduce these guys have the two of the best nicknames in all of the UFC. You better say their nicknames. This is Coconut Bombs versus the Cuban Missile Crisis. That is the only way I want to hear this fight broken down. Sorry.
Listen, we got
very aggressive.
Hey, it's all about the entertainment because these guys are really going to bring the show. I'm counting on a stand and bang fight. Neither of these guys should be looking to shoot for takedowns early. I think Pitolo fighting for his UFC career, Julian Marquez coming back off a long layoff off of a devastating injury with a fully torn lat. And, someone that got told, we hear this plenty, but you'll never fight again. Well, these guys are crazy. He's going to get back in there, and it's awesome that he is. And he had a fight canceled against our buddy Safarov, which we were talking about, and I don't think he ever weighed in. So this is going to be the first time we get to see him weigh in, coming back off a few years from the injury break. Maki Pitolo, moved up a weight class, going up to 185. And then here we have Marquez, who is huge for the division and could probably fight at 205 in the future. So right here, this is going to close out my inside the distance parlay from earlier. And I feel like I was able to catch it at pretty decent odds and put it together for plus money and plus 160 altogether when you put it with the parlay before with Rowe and Green. It, I'm having a little bit of trouble picking his side given some of the intangibles. I'm hoping you guys can maybe give me a hand before we get to the weigh-ins.
Unfortunately, I can't give you much help. I'm really very, very all over the place. I think Patolo has the better technical striking, while I think Marquez is the better power puncher. Um, Marquez is a brawler. I think he's gotten rocked in pretty much all of his fights. But he really likes to bully his opponents. He pushes the pace. He's very tough. He's got good, decent footwork. He's pretty all around where he does feel comfortable. He's not afraid to be on the ground or anything like that. Um, Patolo, quick in and out, decent footwork. Sometimes I feel he can be a little hesitant to pull the trigger. He can struggle to get inside. Sometimes I could sometimes even question his fight IQ and maybe chinny, but I believe that would be more welterweight than so maybe that's more has to do with the weight cut. I'm really, really waiting to see this fight weigh in and face offs. I believe circle wise, I'll be circling Marquez. Bet wise, like I said, I think I'm holding off. Marquez by finish plus 155 is not a terrible choice. Again, this has been super chalky for me after a very, very dog-filled card last week. So I don't want to sit here and say Patolo doesn't have a chance. It is.
He definitely does have a chance, like you're saying. And one of the things that I was noticing is that Marquez is quick to scoop up the neck and also threatens Kimura's on takedown. So say Patolo gets a little wobbled or doesn't like what he's dealing with in the stand-up, like against Darren Stewart, shoots for a takedown. He's not very good with positional awareness and fighting the hands on submission attempts. So, maybe I do end up leaning Marquez here at that minus 177. I probably won't parlay it. Like I said, I have that prop for the inside the distance. However, seeing Marquez plus 950 for submission, I did put a little quarter unit play on that right now because I think that there's definitely a lot of value to be had in a guy that, could definitely find a submission here.
Shark, anything?
Yeah. So this fight, this is a tricky fight. Julian Marquez, it reminds me of the Ponzinibbio a little bit. Long layoff. His pass record is pretty good. You look at Julian Marquez, you're like, wow, this guy's good. He beat a lot of good people. Darren Stewart, Philip Paws. I mean, he has some good wins. And so like you guys, I'm sure do this too, follow the fighters on Instagram. So Julian Marquez, I follow him on Instagram, see what he's doing. I see him grappling, wrestling, and working on that type of game. Also, he's with James Krause. I feel like that they're very strategic there. So if I had to bet this fight, I would take Julian Marquez, but I don't know. I just feel like you don't know what you're gonna get. This guy hasn't.
You can.
He hasn't fought in a while, and the doctor told him you're not gonna fight again. You shouldn't fight again. He doesn't have to listen to the doctor. What else is he going to do? He's going to train people and make,
No, he has an unbelievable podcast with Kendra Lust. I know you know who Kendra Lust is.
No, I don't.
Yeah, you do. You know who she is.
I don't, but I guess she's a nice chick.
Yeah, something like that. But anyway, she's quite popular, and they have a popular podcast. So, listen, I don't know that pays his bills in life or that, fulfills him in more like fighting does. But, yeah, no, I think that Marquez, made those, is going to come back after the injury. And, he's going to, try his best to look good here. I mean, what was the injury, TB? He had his rotator cuff tore off his shoulder.
Torn latissimus dorsi. So it attaches to the scapula in the back. And
so say it to me like I'm 5. What happened? His arm fell off?
It's basically, when you're doing those pull downs at the gym with the bar over your head, it's like that.
No, I don't go.
Yeah. Well, anyways, the muscle that runs up and down your back, that helps you with standing up straight and a lot of your punches and your striking, that's going to make it a little more difficult because he had to relearn a lot of those movements and, Like we said, working with James Krause, that's a lot of experience there, and on paper he should win. And it seems like we all are picking Marquez should he look good at the weigh-ins. So let's.
I mean, I'm staying away from this fight. I feel like Pitolo has a chance. And like I said, these guys that are fighting for their jobs, I mean, a lot of fighters
You think?
recently that have been fighting for their jobs been doing pretty well, except like guys that can't win, like Martin Day and Jerome Rivera, like that. But Mackie Pitolo, honestly, he doesn't impress me, you know. But
No, he doesn't. He's not impressive. But yeah, you're actually. It's an interesting point. He lost to Darren Stewart and Impa Kasanganay in his last 2 fights, so 3 losses in a row. Maybe he could be looked out of a job.
Certainly seems so.
if I'm not going to put Julian Marquez in a parlay,
I don't know about that.
I'm going to enjoy. I want to win money. That I need a win, and I'm not super confident. But gun on my head, I would go with Julian Marquez. I think he finds a way to win. But I think
actually, I got some extra money this week. I don't mind paying the bookies. It's cool.
I mean, I'm looking at Mackie Pitolo's record again, and I don't know. It's not really impressive,
Definitely not. Jim Miller coming in as plus 210 underdog to Bobby Green minus 265, and I think I can speak for all of us when I say we have some bad memories betting on Bobby Green.
What memories? I don't even know what you're talking about. Oh no. Sorry, I may have erased my memory.
Good old Jameson, right?
Awful. Yeah, completely.
But,
the mind erased.
Yeah, Jim Miller, 4 years older at 38. He's given up 2 inches of height. He does have a 1-inch reach advantage. But, Jim Miller, 21-14 in the UFC, and 10 of those wins are by submission. And that's really his only threat here against Bobby Green. Can he get the early finish, or does he gas out once more and just deal with the technical striker from the outside? Because Green has great takedown defense, and he's proven, to be tough and not really get put out. He's only been submitted 2 times in his career, one all the way back. Going to 2010 was the last time we've seen him submitted, never in the UFC. He's only been knocked out once, and that was by Poirier back in 2016. And I can imagine, he might have not been taking his training as seriously as he is now. He's looked as good as ever coming into weigh-ins. And while I might not trust him enough this time, given, the past results, minus 265, it might end up looking like too short of a line if he cruises to a decision, easily striking and landing from the outside, because he's going to have a big advantage there.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. Listen, the way he strikes with his hands down really, really frustrates me. It makes it really, he makes fights way closer than they need to be. It makes me not want to bet him at all. The line being where it is makes me not want to bet him at all. Really, really tough for me to bet him after that loss to Thiago Moises. That being said, the only way I could bet him is by decision. Where do I have that written? I believe I have it at minus 150. Is that what it is? Where's my notes? Minus 150. And minus 125. I apologize, guys. Minus 125 for Green. And then one thing I thought was interesting was Miller, his last 4 wins, all 4 of them are by round 1 submission. So if you're feeling really crazy, round 1 submission by Miller is plus 1,300. It's the only way he's going to win.
Yeah, and Bobby Green, I would say the one thing I learned, for posterity's sake, is that you can't really trust him against a high-level athlete. And, I don't think he's going to have to deal with those same level of punishment from the leg kicks, from the kicks to the head, and from the overhand punches. Miller, he's going to be facing more of a one-dimensional threat here. So I could definitely see him, going on cruise control. Shark, do you see anything on the line?
All right. So I like Bobby Green. I was watching his interview today on
Blah,
on MMA Junk,
blah.
and I was like, I like him, man. We even when he fights, I like Bobby Green. A lot of people say I'm hearing a lot of people say, "Oh, Bobby Green doesn't have a fight IQ." I disagree with that. They're like, I don't know why he tried to why he shot for takedowns against Thiago Moises. I know why. I had a lot of fucking money on that fight. I was like, there with him. So
Why did he shoot for takedowns? Tell me, I'm curious.
he knew he was losing the exchanges with his hands, and he had no fucking answer for Thiago Moises with the hands. Thiago Moises was countering him. Everything he was throwing, he was countering and hitting him with hard shots. So he
100%.
knew he was losing on the feet. So he said, "Listen, I got to go for takedowns," and that's why he shot for takedowns. Like, what the fuck else he was gonna do? He fought for your money. He no matter, even though he lost a lot of money for us, he fought for the money, and he tried his best to fucking win. He's like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
shoot for a fucking takedown. I can't beat this guy with my hands. Let me shoot for a takedown. He did everything he could fucking do to win, and he just couldn't win. Thiago Moises was better that night. He improved a lot. And now I saw Thiago Moises has a fight coming up. I can't remember against who, but I do remember saying to myself, I'm fucking betting Thiago Moises. And this fight, I'm not taking Bobby Green. I'm not betting this fight. I'm just gonna watch it, and I'm gonna watch it, and I'm gonna root for Bobby Green. Jim Miller, he's never been finished. Only I think by Donald Cerrone and someone else. Jim Miller's only been finished twice, so I don't think Bobby Green's gonna finish him. I don't think Jim Miller's gonna finish Bobby Green. I think this should go to distance.
Moving right along, top 3 fights.
Kelvin Gastelum minus 225 against Ian Heinisch plus 175. I'm a little bit surprised at the line here. Heinisch, a little bit taller, 5'11", couple inch reach advantage. He's actually a couple of years older than Kelvin Gastelum, but you wouldn't know that in fight years, as Heinisch spent a good amount of time in jail due to some drug trafficking. So when he came back,
Cayman Islands.
yeah, I mean, he's been training. He was at Factory X. He went to Tiger Muay Thai, the homeland, really work on those mechanics. And actually, I've been seeing Ian Heinisch seems to be doing some work at Elevation. So he's been sitting down on his punches a little more. He had that nasty first round knockout of Mearshart, but hasn't, really been able to get in there since. He took a couple substantial losses in a row to Derek Brunson and Omari Akhmedov, a couple guys that can really grapple with the best of them. And Kelvin Gastelum, while you might have him ranked higher than those two guys, I'm not actually sure his wrestling and top control is better. And I'm just not sure where he's at mentally, dealing with, some depression like he's talked about, but also just he looks hesitant when he's in there fighting, and it's just not a great sign for me. It's for me, this is actually going to be one of my bigger plays on an underdog for this card. I'm looking Ian Heinisch. I already placed the unit on plus 194, and right now I'm seeing he's at plus 175.
Wow, that's some big movement. Yeah, listen, Heinisch is a good fighter. Before that Mearshart win, who again Gerald Mearshart, he's decent. He had lost to Brunson and Akhmedov, so he really needed that win versus Mearshart. He has not fought anybody to the level of competition of Kelvin Gastelum, which really becomes my biggest issue in pulling the trigger here, as I still continue to go back and forth in my own mind. The Jack Hermanson heel hook, terrible showing. But I don't like. Believe me, I'm no MMA fighter, but like that shit just like happens in MMA, and you kind of I feel like you kind of have to chalk that one up, and like you just got to push forward like that didn't even happen. A split decision loss to Darren Till is not the end of the world, and that fight with Izzy was. We all know what that fight with Izzy was. So while it looks terrible that his last win was in May of 2018, a split decision win over Jacare, while that is terrible, I mean, he needs a win here. Ian Heinisch is significantly, you've said it a few times tonight, there are levels to this. Ian Heinisch is significantly not as good as the last. I mean, look at the last people he's fought: Jack Hermanson, Darren Till, Adesanya, Jacare Souza, and Michael Bisping, and then Chris Weidman. Like, I mean, where does Ian Heinisch fall on that scale? I think below all of them. So while again I am so nervous to put my money on Kelvin Gastelum, I don't know, and I would love to see a Heinisch win. He's a juicy underdog. So pay attention to my profile. I do not know how I'm circling. I hate to do that. I always have a forced lean. I don't know. I forced lean. I lean Gastelum, but I don't know.
It's a dog or pass here. What are you gonna get? What Kelvin Gastelum are you gonna get? And I know he needs a win. I'm sure he's focused and really training hard for this one. And he's fought way better competition than Ian Heinisch. But
The one that said that the guys that need the wins have been winning. That was your shtick.
I know, but I like to look at it both ways, And
well, I think one of the things that you were talking about was more younger guys in the beginning of their career fighting for their career. Kelvin Gastelum is 10-6-1 in his UFC career, so this is someone that has already been to the bottom, been to the top, been back down to the bottom, and I'll toss it right back to you because I just wanted to put out that distinction.
Yeah, I mean, he's faced a lot of good fighters. I don't know. I'm personally not going to bet this fight. Ian Heinisch is younger in fighting years. Like you said, he was in jail and started his career later. That reminds me of Bernard Hopkins in boxing. Bernard Hopkins fought till he was like 50 years old. He started his pro boxing career at a later age, at like, I don't know, maybe in his 30s or something. I don't know if that's exactly the exact age, but he started later. So Ian Heinisch is younger.
Yeah.
When they're in the cage, he's definitely younger. I don't know, man. I'm not betting this fight. I would do a dog or pass here. I just feel like it's too risky.
Yeah.
One thing I do think is that the fight, Mike, I think it goes to the decision. I don't think there's a finish.
That, I think, is a pretty sure bet. You have Gastelum has been to decision 9 times in his UFC career, and Heinisch has been to decision 4 out of 5 times. Where I see Heinisch having some success is, being a little bit, relentless as far as he's always going to be in the fight. He has a really good low calf kick that he's been working on, and Gastelum is heavy on his lead leg and eats leg kicks. That's going to hurt his movement, being the smaller guy. I see Heinisch ducking and weaving into hooks. He's really starting to get his stand-up game together, working with these better teams as he keeps on moving with his camps. And, to me, that it just stood out to me as the dog play of the card. I know you guys see a lot of indecision going with Gastelum and all the experience that he has, but, I hope you can understand where I'm coming from on it.
Oh, absolutely.
I wouldn't be surprised if Ian Heinisch wins. I won't be like, oh,
me neither.
God, I can't believe it. But I even if Gastelum loses, I feel like, I don't know, the UFC still shouldn't cut him.
No, not yet.
They won't.
He's faced high-level competition.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I'm not betting this fight, but I do like the over. Over 2.5 rounds. I like that line, and I could see a finish in round 3, or I don't know who, but I can see that.
Gastelum by decision plus 110. Just gonna throw that out there. Finally, just last final thing I'll throw out before we move on.
Co-main event of the evening: Macy Barber plus 105 versus Alexa Grasso minus 127. Grasso, coming in with a lot more UFC experience at 4-3. Barber 3-1. They match up in height 5'5" each. Grasso holds a 1-inch reach advantage, 66-65. Grasso 5 years older at 27. Barber 22. I know you guys have seen all the talk of her, wanting to be the youngest champion in the UFC, and things obviously went a little off the rails with the knee injury, torn ACL, suffered against Roxanne Modafferi, and I remember cashing very nicely on that juicy underdog. So in this fight, what stood out to me is, you know, the level of competition that each has faced and the boxing fundamentals of Grasso. So that minus 127 where it's sitting right now, the line keeps getting shorter and shorter. I'm just going to keep waiting. It seems like money keeps coming in on Barber. Where are you at?
I've been back and forth all week. Obviously, you and I converse quite a decent amount. I've done my own tape. The experience of Grasso and her, to me, elite boxing is kind of is what brings me on to her. Macy Barber is the future, could be the future. Sometime down the road, what is she? She's still only 21, 22 years old. Um, she's her best win is her win versus Jillian Robertson. That's her best win. She couldn't get it done versus Roxanne Modafferi. We know about Roxanne's complete lack of striking. Um, you've seen Macy just not she wasn't very successful in that fight. I mean, obviously the knee injury, maybe changes things a little bit, but a lot of it. But I what I saw for this fight is Grasso by decision plus 105. I think it goes the distance. One of these chick fights will probably end within the distance. Let's just be real. I don't think if you like a finish in this fight, you have to like Barber. I don't think Grasso will get the finish. She hasn't gotten any finishes in the UFC.
Right, and she's Alexa Grasso. Her only 3 losses have come in the UFC: 1 submission and 2 decisions. And being submitted by Tatiana Suarez really isn't that embarrassing.
Not at all.
So the thing that stood out to me is in her last fight, her last loss at strawweight when against Carla Esparza. She's losing the first couple of rounds. She's doing all right in the stand up, but Carla's takedown threats kind of mutes a little bit of the movement and ability for Grasso to let loose with high kicks and everything. So, all of a sudden the third round comes around and she starts using those underhooks better to stuff some takedowns, but she gets on the mat and then it seems like, oh man, it's going to be 30-27. There it goes. Esparza gets the takedown. And Grasso just kind of starts wriggling into position, controlling the posture. And then she looks down at Grasso, just takes a breath, leans back, throws up the hips, gets into an armbar. Esparza is all the way laid out. That arm is about to pop out. And somehow Esparza fights through, gets back into full guard. Then Grasso gets to her feet. And for the last 2 minutes of that fight is piecing Carla Esparza up. And she nearly drops her. She has her hurt. And, it was a little concerning that she didn't have as much of the killer instinct that you would have liked to see. But I really don't think she wanted to get taken down again and was able to not get taken down again the rest of the fight. So, I don't think that Grasso, someone that's never lost by knockout, is going to find that against Macy Barber. She takes contact very well. Ji Young Kim landed a lot of punches with a 6-inch reach advantage and with a lot of power. And Grasso ate them, came forward, won that fight handily, 30-27, solid grappling, and actually landed some takedowns of her own. So to me, I just saw a lot of growth in Grasso recently, BJJ purple belt. So it's not that she hasn't had the reps in the gym. And I think that she's just faced a higher level of competition and has the boxing and the stand-up, because Barber, while she has the power, I don't think she has the fundamentals, and she doesn't take a punch well.
Shark, anything?
All right, so this is the way I see it. Tyler, you broke that down good, man, and it makes me second guess my pick, but I have to stick with my pick, and it's going to be Barber. What I really love about that fight is the line. I like it a lot, and I think by tomorrow and tomorrow and Saturday, it's gonna change even more. I think
I think Barber could be a favorite by fight time.
It reminds me of Dariush and whoever he fought
Diego
last
Ferreira,
week.
yeah.
That's what this line is like to me, and Carla Esparza she's high level. She's good. She can take you down. And I'm surprised Grasso, she only took her down 4 out of 11 times. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's definitely improved defense than what she had shown earlier in her career.
So, I don't it's not going to be an easy fight. I think this fight goes to a decision, I would say, but I have Macy Barber winning.
Shark, just to supplement on that, FanDuel has Alexa Grasso by decision plus 105, which I believe I said was my favorite bet for this fight. Right now, DraftKings has it Alexa Grasso by decision minus 106. So that's a 10-point swing.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge to me. As I saw that while we're recording, I just hit Grasso by decision at plus money, so because I do think it goes to decision.
Yeah, I think that's a good bet. I think that's solid. When she fought Modafferi, when Barber fought Modafferi, she got hurt in the first round.
Oh yeah,
it was the first round she got hurt. She hurt
partially torn ACL or whatever it is.
Second round, I guess it got worse, and the doctor came in, and when the doctor came in, he looked at it and said, partial torn ACL, and walked out of the cage. And the commentators are saying, how did he know that? What's he, like a human x-ray? How did that doctor know that? What is he talking about? No one knew it was really that. And the thing about Macy Barber, she's a fucking warrior, man. She still fought that whole fight. She was still trying to throw punches and bang with Modafferi, but Modafferi's tough, man. She's been around for a while. I mean, her last fight, it didn't go.
She has no striking. She's a 33% striking average or something. She's like awful.
But guess who landed a couple punches on her?
The first round of that fight, I don't think it was. I think Modafferi took it because I think she took her down and controlled her on the ground. And then second round, when they stood back up, her knee was messed up. She threw a jab. I think her knee gave out, and that's what knocked her down. I don't know. I think somehow Barber pulls it off. Maybe she's more improved. Maybe the line's going to change Saturday, but right now I have Macy Barber plus 105 on DraftKings, and I'm gonna put that in a parlay pretty heavy. That's what I have right now, and I do like the over as well. I think they're both tough. I mean, Macy Barber, she finished Robertson in the first round. She finished her.
We've seen Robertson as somebody that really struggles with any sort of forward pressure with the striking, which is kind of why we like Miranda Maverick, because anybody that puts any forward striking on her, like, she just doesn't really know what to do. She's just not a good enough striker. And I think Grasso's overall veteran experience should come through here. I mean, how is Macy Barber gonna win? Like, truly, like, if you like decision, then I don't think you like Macy Barber, because Macy Barber doesn't win decisions. And the longer this fight goes, Grasso is not going to tie her out. Her pace is amazing. And Macy Barber's pace is less than stellar. The only thing Barber's has going for her is that she's 22 and obviously has all this time off. So she could have made unbelievable leaps and bounds. But that being said, she's been recovering. She's been busy trying to get back to where she was. So I think this is a big learning experience for her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if she lost, but I don't know. I just have to ride with her. I like her. I don't have an expert breakdown on why. My breakdown is because of the line. And
a YouTube guy didn't tell you to bet it, did he?
Nah. And Macy Barber, she's not shit. If this was Jillian Robertson and that was the line, I would second guess it.
No, she's not shit. That's why she's co-main event against a girl like Alexa Grasso, who's fought Tatiana Suarez, who's fought Carla Esparza, who's fought Randa Marcos. I mean, she's fought, top 15 perennial fighters. Felice Herring at the time that she fought her. I mean,
yeah, Macy Barber, I'm saying she's not shit. I feel like she's gonna hang in there, and I feel like she's got a chance to win. And I just love the line. I like it a lot. I gotta ride it out. There was a fight a few real quick. There was a fight a few months back. It was Corey McKenna versus Hansen.
Yes.
and I took Corey McKenna in a parlay, and
Fuck that fight.
and the reason why I took that was because of the line movement. I saw what the line was, and I saw where it moved, and I was like, I have to take Corey McKenna, and I put a decent amount in a parlay and won really big in it, and Corey McKenna ended up winning. Now, did she really win? I don't know. I was surprised when they announced her as the winner. I thought Hansen won, but I don't know. That's just an example of why I'm so big on the line movements and why I track them and things of that nature. But I'm taking Barber here. That's my pick.
All right.
Any guys, anything else?
No, let's get to what we all came for. The main event of the evening. Kamaru Usman coming in. The line keeps on growing at minus 278, and Gilbert Burns at plus 220. This is going to be one hell of a championship fight. I think we're in for some excitement here. No matter what your feelings are about Usman and his fight style, you can't deny the ability that he brings into the cage. And, I just can't help but feeling like we're going to see a little bit of a repeat of what we've seen, in the past few of his fights, and just utter domination. So
I don't want to sound again too chalky or following some sort of narrative, but no, I think that Usman is you want to hear something crazy? I think Usman is the most dominant champion currently in the UFC. I think he is the most dominant champion. I think he has shown himself as at a higher level than everybody he's defended his belt against, higher than anybody else that currently has a belt. I mean, he has looked leaps and bounds better than Jorge Masvidal, than Tyron Woodley, than Rafael dos Anjos, than Damian Maia. The only fight that was close was the Colby Covington fight, and that fight, was one of the most exciting fights ever. I mean, that fight was epic to me.
Yes, I would love to see a rematch somewhere down the line. And, Usman, he's going to have, once again, a 2-inch height advantage, a 6.5-inch reach advantage. So when you get into the stand-up here, Burns is someone that's coming up from, 155. He didn't want to keep on doing the weight cuts, and he wanted to fight more consistently, and he really found a lot of success moving up to 170. My only thing is he's fighting against a guy now that probably should be fighting up at 185 and just has an elite skill to cut weight and get down to that 170 and just compete at such a larger mass than his opponents. And Kamaru Usman, let's not overlook, we might talk about Gilbert Burns in his second-degree black belt. Kamaru Usman's got his own black belt, and he's got the NCAA Division II Wrestling Championships. He took home a bronze in 2008, a silver in 2009, a gold in 2010. He got better every year, a 3-time All-American. He won the Ultimate Fighter. What do we think is going to happen here?
I don't know why people like Gilbert Burns. I don't understand that. I mean, Gilbert Burns' best performance of his entire career came in his last fight against Tyron Woodley, where he landed a career-high 84 significant strikes on Tyron Woodley. Great. He had half the control time that Usman had against Woodley. And in Woodley's last 4 fights, he significantly outlanded more than 84 strikes. Where is Burns going to get this pace from? Where is Burns going to be able to stay on the feet from? Usman has 100% takedown defense. How is Burns getting him to the ground? Was he just going to climb his back? I don't see it. I don't get it. He's not going to play with him on the ground. If you hold him up against the cage like you just watched him do, all the memes about or jokes about holding Jorge Masvidal against the cage, you hold Gilbert Burns against the cage. What is Gilbert Burns going to do?
Well, we saw it. We saw it on tape. He got stuck against the cage against multiple guys. We saw Tyron Woodley in the 5th round was actually able to turn him out, and then Gunnar Nelson. That's another one. They didn't really want to get into all the grappling, but that's definitely something that popped up. And those guys are nowhere near as big as Usman.
Shark?
This is a tough one, man. Let me ask you guys a question. How good do you think Kobe Covington really is?
I really think he is the top. I, top. He is simply the top 5 welter. I mean, he's top 3 welterweight in the world. Who's a better welterweight
Talk
than
about
Kobe Covington?
him. You think he's like, let's say all time?
All-time welterweights. No, where Kobe Covington ranks in all-time welterweights, no, that drops him a lot further. But where Kamaru Usman ranks in top welterweights, I mean, he's up there with GSP in my mind. I mean, he's running, he's getting up there. There's so many welterweights, and again, in what way do we have them in legacy? You know what I mean?
Reason I ask that is because I look at Kobe Covington's record, I look at Usman's record, and I'm not. I don't want to say I'm not impressed, but I'm not like, whoa. I'm not.
I don't know.
Wow. It doesn't like. I'm not like whoa. So that's why when I feel like maybe Gilbert Burns has a chance because I'm just not like, you know.
Dude, you want to be not wowed by a resume? Why don't you look at Gilbert Burns' resume, who got knocked out in round 1 by Dan Hooker? I mean, want to talk about a not impressive resume? I mean, that's
2018.
tough.
It wasn't 2018. He could have improved a lot. Even Charles Oliveira, look how much he's improved. For example,
From 31 to 34, and he went from lightweight obviously there to welterweight. But dude, you've seen Usman run through the best of the best. Again, let me run through his names again. He beat in his last fight. He beat Woodley. No, I'm sorry. He beat Masvidal in his last fight. Then
Masvidal
he beat
was not. He was a short notice.
6 days notice. And Masvidal is a journeyman. I love Masvidal, kind of, at least before his whole Trump ridiculousness. Masvidal is a decent fighter. He washed Masvidal. Beats Covington pretty soundly. I think if it was going to decision, it would have been 4-1, at the very most 3-2.
I agree. I thought he put on Covington. I thought he put on him.
Woodley, I mean, in that Woodley fight, wasn't Woodley a favorite? Kamaru Usman was a plus 155 slight underdog to Woodley. Nobody was taking. I mean, some people were, but nobody I knew was taking Woodley. I mean, nobody I knew was taking Usman. Everybody was on Woodley. He washed Woodley. That's what started the tidal wave of Woodley being washed. He washed Rafael dos Anjos in one of the most lopsided fights you're ever going to see. And Rafael dos Anjos only fights killers. He washed Damian Maia, where, people really struggled to beat Damian Maia. I mean, he beat Sean Strickland. He beat Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland looks good. He beat Warley Alvarez. Warley Alvarez looks good.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, both of them look good as of late. He beat Leon Edwards in 2015. We've been waiting to see Leon. Leon Scott, as they call him.
I'm looking for a reason. I'm looking for a reason to like Gilbert Burns, and I
can't find one
either. I don't.
He has to get him with a sub early, and that's so crazy. Usman he's so dedicated to his craft. He's so hell-bent on being a champion. He says everything in the interviews you want to hear. He says the pain of losing outweighs the joy of winning, so I will not lose. I mean, that's like gives me chills.
Now, one thing I do like, it's just a crazy prop bet. Will it come in? It's a long shot, but I think it has a chance coming in. I like under 1.5 rounds. It's just something I see in this crazy system I have. Sometimes it works. Most of the time it works for me. I like under 1.5 rounds. I don't know how that's going to happen. I feel that if you just asked me without me looking at any of these numbers and the lines, if you just asked me, I would say, no, this fight's going to go like 4 rounds at least, Last week there was a fight that everyone was on the under 1.5 rounds, that the fight wouldn't get out of the first round. And it was what's that kid's name? Justin James fight. He fought Smith. And for me, I saw that fight would go over 1.5 rounds. And every predictor, capper was saying, the safe bet, this fight will go under 1.5 rounds for sure. But I saw that go over. I saw it going over 1.5. I see this fight. I don't know how the fuck it's gonna happen, but I see this fight going under 1.5 rounds. I don't know.
Well, that certainly scares the shit out of me because if it's going under 1.5 rounds, I would. If you told me that, like if you looked into a crystal ball and you couldn't tell me who won, but you could tell me it ends in under 1.5 rounds, I might have to like go rob a bank and put it on Gilbert Burns. That scares me.
So
But I don't.
Stuff can happen. What's her name? There was a women's fight a few months ago. Geronimi.
Jermaine Durand,
During Durandame.
Yes,
with the submission,
fight, and she submitted her, and everyone was like, "What? Maybe Usman submits Burns." You never know. And what's the thing about they were training partners? Daniel Cormier would say something
to your
about
point.
they know each other. So, and Usman is saying, "Oh, he knows," and Burns is saying, "Oh, yeah, he knows." They're like both saying it, like, "Yeah, he knows who, what's out, like who's gonna win and what's up," and the other guy saying the same thing. So, I mean, what it like?
What's gonna happen?
I think to your point here, something that we heard in the interviews, maybe it wasn't such a peaceful split from Sanford MMA for Usman. Sounds like something happened. We don't know specifically what at this point. Everyone's kind of clamshelled up at that gym. No one's saying who won the sparring sessions, anything like that. Dan Levy already did their research and tried to find out for us, but it was unsuccessful. Basically what I come down to seeing here is that these guys actually might hold a little bit more of a grudge than we might be letting on to. There might be a little bit more of a reason why they're even matching up against each other in the first place. Like, if they were training together for so long and Burns knows he's a contender, why is he moving up to 170 with someone that he's been training with for so long? There might have been something brewing there longer than we could think about. And, it's possible because a lot of times you don't see teammates wanting to fight each other, and they seem pretty willing to get this fight booked. So to what you're saying about their possibly being an under, we're hearing all this talk about Usman's so boring to watch fight. No one wants to watch Usman fight. Usman this, Usman that, he's not going to sell pay-per-views. What if this guy comes out here and he's rocking Burns on the feet in the first round? What if Usman comes out here, starts landing takedowns, and starts hunting for the submission with his black belt? This guy's much stronger. Burns has 5 necks now. I get that. He's starting to get thick, but I don't think that that's going to be enough for the muscle that Usman's had almost his entire life here and just been building with his wrestling background, because grappling off your back, grappling in a gi, very different than the high level wrestling that Usman has displayed in his life. And, I just can't envision Burns getting a win, but the more that we get into the layers of some of the details and intricacies of this fight, maybe it's not out of the question that Usman can find an early finish. But, for my money, I'm playing Usman rounds 4 or 5 or decision. I do think he's going to play it out further at minus 115. I'll probably be dropping a couple of units there. And additionally, Usman just straight up in the money line on a parlay. I already put him with Grasso. That was 1 unit. So Alexa Grasso and Usman parlay together for your co-main and main event parlay from me. Then also I'm parlaying out Usman with Israel Adesanya in his title fight against Jan Blachowicz. So we'll get to the breakdown on that one in future time. But I feel very good about the Usman side in this fight.
Yeah, it's hard not to, especially just it's straight up at money line. Kamaru Usman and over 2.5 minus 137. Listen, his last round 1 KO came in 2017 against Sergio Moraes. I don't know. I'm very excited. I'm so excited to see this fight. I do think Usman washes him. Yeah, he's just I think he's elite. You asked me about legacy, and is Usman, is Colby one of the best fighters? You want to talk legacy? Legacy wise, elite wrestling has beaten elite grappling. That's legacy. We've seen that play out, that storybook play out, time and time again. And Usman has the elite wrestling, so I'm taking Usman. Shark, any final plays? Any parlay you want to give out?
It's hard. I usually put mine in Saturday is when I finalize because I do follow the lines. But right now, and I don't see them moving much more. But I see, I do like Maverick. I like Gabriel Green, Mallory Martin, and Bilal Muhammad. I feel like that's a solid parlay right there. I don't I don't see any of them losing. Gabriel Green, yeah, it is scary to put money to put $5,000 on Gabriel Green. Yeah, I'm gonna be nervous as fuck if I do that. But I don't see. I don't know. I don't see Philip Rowe winning. I see Philip Rowe. I've been following him on Instagram because I want to see what this guy's up to, and I just feel like he's in Vegas, and I see what he's filming, and and what his stories. I feel like he's just happy to. I don't know. He's just happy to be there, and so
I hate happy to be there.
maybe that works for him. I don't know, but I'm just looking at some picks I have on DraftKings. I'm looking at like this would be a great parlay: Miranda Maverick, Gabriel Green, Mallory Martin, and Bilal Muhammad. I'm gonna probably put that in. Gabriel Green is scary. I mean, Miranda Maverick is everything is scary when you're putting big money down. At the end, I'm like about to push the button, and I'm like, oh wait, you know.
No, it can be scary. So here on we really try to focus on long-term investment, long-term return investment here. Because for me, I'm somebody I want to make sure I have money to bet next week. If I go bankrupt this week, I'll just be sad. So all right, seriously, I think that pretty much covers this awesome card. I want to thank our fantastic guest, the UFC Shark, for hanging out with us here today, for breaking down these fights with us. I really, really appreciate that. You can follow him on Instagram at UFC Shark, correct? At UFC Shark, he's the one and only. Anyone else posting that is faking. They're faking his bets. We've seen people try to pass off his bets as theirs before. So keep your eye out. You want to follow UFC Shark on Instagram. Please look out for us. Chronic Combat Conversations on YouTube. Chronic Combat Conversations on Instagram. Chronic Combat on Twitter. Please feel free to follow me. I am the _ MMA Guru on Instagram, Twitter, Verdict, and Instagram. And please follow our lovely host, TB Scouting MMA, on Instagram, Twitter, Verdict, and Tapology. I am your co-host, the _ MMA Guru. Thanks so much for tuning in for UFC 258, and have a great night.